So, Brianna Joy Gray works for the Sanders campaign.
Yes.
She tweeted this out: with the utmost respect for Bernie Sanders, who is an incredible human being and a genuine inspiration, I don't endorse Joe Biden. I supported Bernie Sanders because
I'm looking forward to her being on the show.
Because he, me too.
I'm looking for
Brianna. She's not coming.
No.
I supported Bernie Sanders because he backed ideas like Medicare for all, canceling all student debt, and a wealth tax. Biden supports none of those. And he says, take your time. You deserve it. Bernie did not support a wealth tax or canceling student debt at the start, for the record. The question many may ultimately face is, if Biden supports canceling student debt, expanding Social Security, etc., in a one-year coronavirus bill, do you take the win and build? Adam Green is like if the phrase "well, actually" was a person. And by the way, he can only come if he's corrected 10 people's grammar on Twitter that day. You just know it. The only people winning, can I just give you an FYI? The only people who are going to be winning, Adam, if Joe Biden is president, is Wall Street. And possibly the military-industrial complex. Let's see what else. Big Pharma. I mean, there you go. There's another. Anyway. So here's what Nomiki Khan says to that. Wonder why Bernie's not to that. Just about herself. She says, well, I wonder why Bernie sometimes surrenders. Wonder why Bernie sometimes surrenders to the centrists. I don't wonder anymore. I used to. It used to really eat me up inside. Now I just, if you can see it coming, doesn't hurt as much. Remember, he has to operate in the Senate under Schumer rules. You want Bernie in leadership? He's going to be cautious to keep his existing power. While we think movement first, he's probably conditioned to think Senate first. Really? So she's saying that's pretty strong. She's saying Bernie puts his Senate position over the movement. So that sounds like that's what she's saying. It's got 3,000 likes. But I think she's saying that his brain is just conditioned that way.
I think she's right, and I think evidence shows that repeatedly.
Well, it's obviously he ran his. I said it a long time ago. He's running his campaign as if he wants to keep his Senate appointments. That's how he's running his campaign. Mm-hmm. He's running his campaign like he doesn't want to become Ralph Nader. That's how he ran his campaign. He didn't run his campaign to win. It wasn't really. It didn't seem like a real serious campaign. She goes on to say, this is the power they have over progressives. Sure, the DNC has power with their rules during the primary, but ultimately, if Bernie or AOC, Rashida or Ilhan want to keep their positions and not be put on crappy committees or worse, they operate within the confines of DC leadership. Now, I don't know what the point of her saying this is. That's what I've been saying, and I'm saying, yes, that they immediately what's the point of not taking corporate money if you're going to bend to the people who do so you can keep a committee assignment? What is the point of keeping a committee assignment if you have to ultimately bend to the people who are taking money from the corporation anyway to keep that assignment? There's no point to having it. Like people like Aaron, when he's just on, I don't think he understands how effed up things actually are and how often this experiment has been run. And what, if you noticed, he was really, literally the words came out of his mouth, incremental change. And don't forget what MLK said, the tranquilizing drug of incrementalism. Boy, I hope that's the quote. If that's the quote, I'll be a king. If that's the quote.
I'm going to check it up right now.
Oh, gradualism. Shit. It's very close. The tranquilizing drug of gradualism. So basically what she's saying is what I've been pointing out for the last 2 weeks. That's been nothing that was highlighted more of how every progressive in Congress capitulated to the corporation and went along with the screwing of America and got nothing back. If they would have got something for it, I would have been all right. Well, you guys had to use this crisis, but you got it. They didn't get anything. Nothing. It was described as crumbs what they got by AOC. So why would you let that happen then? Well, she's saying so they can stay on their, so they don't get a crappy assignment on a crappy committee. That's what she's saying. Isn't that what that says to you, Steph? That's what it says to me. So this is exactly what I've been pointing out ever since the Great Unmasking, which was the vote on that bill, the way it was all handled. To me, is the Great Unmasking. There's no point in voting for them. They just fucked you over. The game is over. And that's another thing. I don't know if Aaron really understands how bad that bill was. That's another thing. People don't understand how bad it is because they look to people like AOC and Bernie to tell them, and they tell them all the good stuff they got in that bill and that we're going to keep working for it and get you that stuff later, even though they have no leverage to do that now. I wish Bernie Sanders were the egomaniac his dishonest haters claim he was, because then he'd still be in the race. I assume that he thinks he's doing this for the sake of the party, but uniting behind someone who will surely lose to Trump isn't a good idea. Not me, not him, us movement. That's what Katie Helper says. And just so you know, they gave all that money and they're supposed to have oversight and what have you. Just so you know, this is how bad the party is, that they've all bent the knee to. Every one of the progressives, every Justice Democrat, every one of them bent the knee to this horrible corporate war Wall Street party so they don't lose their good assignments on committees. Jesus H. Motherfucking Christ. Matt Stoller tweets out that Pelosi's refusal to allow remote voting means the House is shut down and can't do any oversight. Steny Hoyer says that the House won't be back until May 4th at the earliest, while you miss your May 1st rent payment, credit card payment, car note, lose your health insurance as you lose your job. Pelosi's, and so that means she's not even doing oversight of the money. There's nothing happening.
So I just want to take a leap here. Let's just say, okay, it's May 4th when they pretend that they're going to return.
Right.
If you really think they're going to return on May 4th, we're all fooling ourselves right now. In the meantime, let's just take this scenario. I can either buy food for my family or I can pay all the other bills, like service to the internet or to my phone.
Right.
So now all those things are now shut down. Where is my voice? Where do I have access? If everything is digitized, I mean, seriously, how do poor people survive this? Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Chuck Schumer. Gosh, this is, I guess, somebody said earlier that they've created this situation. It's time for us to drive to their homes and protest outside.
Again, people don't have a sense of urgency right now. Do you realize what this means? That the next rent is a third of the 30% of America didn't pay their rent last April 1st. Do you see what they're doing? Do you see what this voting blue does for you? And this is, guys, it's just unbelievable what's happening right now. Joe Biden doesn't have a lick of a plan. Bernie Sanders is talking about getting task forces. Jesus Christ. It's amazing what's happening, right? It is a great unmasking, and people are a little behind the curve right now, as usual. And it was very swell of Aaron to point out how I was ahead of the curve on the Syria thing, and I got it right, and I was more courageous than he was on it. Very nice and big of him to do that. But this is another case. I think it's another case where a lot of people are behind the curve on this because they don't know how bad this bill is. They just don't get what's happening. And they also don't get what's not happening. What's not happening is any kind of relief for people, workers, families. They're not trying to set up a system that gets money to people or small business. They're not doing anything. They're not even in session. So this is Nomiki telling you that no matter who you vote for, they're never going to stand up to the party. That's what that says, right? No matter who you vote for, no matter how justice-y Democrat-y they get, no matter how much corporate money they turn down, they're always going to bend to the party. That's what this says. I consume a lot of other progressive media. It's amazing what's not being said. Let's just put it that way. It's amazing how they're going back to the same old playbook right now. It's amazing how they're going back to the Republicans bad, Joe Biden bad. And Joe Biden bad, no doubt. Republican bad, no doubt. But there's a bigger story to be told right now, and it's the unbelievable betrayal of not only the movement, but the people, the work, anything. What happened in that stimulus?
Really? So let me get this straight. I have people working in hospitals all throughout our country. We have people working in grocery stores all throughout our country.
And they're on vacation, not taking
and
care of
they're
them.
not in Congress.
I know.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, you got to go sign that paper ballot petition, and you got to exit, and you got to ask everybody that you know not to endorse anybody right now. Let them come and get your fucking vote. I don't understand why somebody's saying, why is anybody saying, why is any union, any company, anybody saying right now, oh, I'm going to endorse Joe Biden?
Or
I'm going to go endorse Trump right now. What are you doing?
I mean, it's weird. I mean, Bernie pledged his support to Joe Biden already, and it didn't seem like he extracted anything for it. They agreed on Joe Biden said he endorses a $15 minimum wage. Whoa. So it doesn't seem like he extracted anything for it. Did it to you? No, it didn't to me.
Jimmy, all I heard was Joe Biden saying, we're going to make it affordable. And Nancy Pelosi said probably about a month ago, the vaccine should be affordable. And where is she now?
She's on vacation.
This is really overwhelming. And, you know, there are solutions. And they have nothing to do with the Republican or the Democratic Party.
There were no demands made, as far as I can tell, by Bernie Sanders. There was no demand. There was no demands made, no concessions on policies, and there were no demands met. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, just Biden kept saying, Bernie, we don't agree on all things. That was a necessary pronouncement to make. Is everybody should be screaming. Y'all should be screaming because we're not getting the programs to protect a little kid. We're not getting the programs to protect an elderly person.
That's right.
We're not getting programs that is going to help that single parent family right now. We're not getting those programs. And that's not Republican or Democrat or Green Party. That's your brothers and sisters. That's everybody. You know, you see people sleeping on the streets right now. We should be outraged by that. Because if we allow that, that means it's you, it's me, it's my neighbor. My neighborhood is filled with elderly people, and my neighborhood also has people who have mental issues. And, you know, Jimmy, we were talking about the Joker last night that we watched, you know, and we were talking about the despair in that film. It was like Jimmy and I were not prepared for it to be so dark, so sad, such a commentary on healthcare and the consequence of lack of healthcare and what your society looks like when you don't have healthcare and the brutalization of different people. Was heart-wrenching. It was heart-wrenching. What a performance he gave.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?